Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you again.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. How's your coaching week been going?
Oh, I had a really good, crazy-filled week of coaching.
You did. You did a lot of coaching sessions this week.
Yeah, some weeks are like that, right? Mm-hmm. Where like every slot is full. And I need to
add... And you open up some new ones.
And I added an ad hoc session as well. So it was just jam-packed. But so much good information in there. But this week, I don't have a question. This week comes from your coaching.
True. Actually, it comes from a life I used to live in a past life.
Well, but in a talk track that you have with newer students all the time, right?
So, right. It's about the data and what we can learn from historical data. And what we can do to not give ourselves half a chance when we're using historical data. In other words, if we depend on the historical data to tell us what's going to happen, and that's all we do, then all we have to work with is the historical data that we can get. And we know that we don't get every piece of data.
Right, yeah.
Right? But if we depend on this data, this historical data, to help us form a hypothesis to test what's going to happen in the future to us under our conditions at this time, then we have a real use for data. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people get imprisoned by data. I call this data imprisonment, where the data says this is what happened in the past, and that's all that possibly can happen, and that's all I'm going to work with. That's being imprisoned by your data. And I don't like to see that. I've seen that in corporate America many, many times. People want to know the answer before they make the decision.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't we all like to know that, right?
Yeah.
Is this sort of like history books too? Like, well, this is exactly the way it went, but not all history has been recorded, right?
Right. That's not all the history.
Yes.
Right.
That's one storyline of history, or
exactly.
One through line of history, but it's not the only history that happened.
Written by one person or a group of people, a collective with a certain perspective.
Yeah.
What else was there?
And that's exactly what Keepa is. Keepa, look at Keepa. We always call Keepa the source of truth. The real source of truth is Amazon, but we're limited in terms of the information that we can get from Amazon in a lot of cases. And so our next closest source of truth is Keepa. But let's be honest, Keepa does not have all of the history.
What we see in Keepa is true. I can trust the numbers in the data that I get from Keepa as a truth, but it still has to be, data always has to be interpreted in order to be actionable. It has to be interpreted. What does that mean? And you have to remember that there are a lot of data points that Keepa doesn't track. For instance, I sold something at $25 last week. Keepa never tracked it. Keepa never saw it. They only saw $18 the whole way through as the buy box that Keepa captured. But I had the buy box at $25. Keepa just wasn't looking at that geographical area. That's the kind of thing that we don't have everything. So we can't say Keepa has the only information. The best information is what we test for.
So it does put together a puzzle, but that puzzle is missing pieces.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you can't tell what is going on there, but...
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a really interesting point, because I had one of the coaching sessions I had was with someone who lives like in the Southwest area of the country, right? And he was testing this product that he's like, well, I sent in some units and they've been available for 5 weeks and I haven't sold a single unit. I don't understand why. And when I go to look that ASIN up, to me, it's covered by Amazon Fresh. There is no other person selling except for Amazon Fresh. But I looked up his zip code, impersonated that zip code on Amazon, and looked it up. And sure enough, Amazon Fresh doesn't show up. Right? So, like, you're not getting the whole picture.
Right. So when you see a fast-moving ASIN, remember there could be other things influencing that fast move. The other thing that you don't see in the history of Keepa, I think that's important that we remember, is we see where a buy box was. We see a velocity. First of all, we now know how many sales there were within ranges. That's true information that Amazon tells.
As long as that data point exists,
As long as 50 or more. It won't exist before it's at least 50 sales in 30 days.
And I'm not convinced that every single ASIN that has 50 or more sales has that attribute attached to it. Like I know
I'm not either, but I'm convinced that enough of them do that we can use that as a guideline.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. And when you're, still getting some experience, you want to stay within the guidelines if you can, in my opinion. But if you're high risk, then you don't have to. It's your business. What I was going to say about that, though, is we don't know the conditions of that sale. So in some cases, in fact, Kickstart person, I think it was, brought to me an ASIN that said, hey, the yellow line's broken. And it says it's selling 50, even 100, and then all of a sudden it's not. It's not. Well, that's a rolling number for the last 30 days. And when we looked at when it wasn't selling, it was because there was no stock.
No offer. Yeah.
No offer available. So think of that. That's very clear to see. However, what if it were the sales were happening, the pricing was happening there, and it was a situation where the stock was available, inventory was available for the customer to buy, but it's going to be 10 days out, what we call the panic window. And they were slashing prices. So that buy box that you're seeing that you're depending on to give you information, you could beat that. Likely you could beat that easily, but you have to test it to find out for sure. We don't know those conditions in history. Keepa doesn't tell us that in historical data. Keepa has, as you look at it data, Keepa has historical data. They have different ways that they present every one of those data points. So there's a whole lot more to it. And I'm not saying you have to have a PhD in Keepa to do this business. I'm saying use it as information to form a hypothesis and then test that hypothesis. And you get a yes or a no. Decide before you test. So we're going to get to that. Okay. Yeah. I'm on a roll now.
There are two quotes in this episode. Okay. We're going to cover the first one. I love them both, by the way. The last one really cracks me up, but so stay tuned, right? As they say.
There's your teaser.
We're saying that Keepa doesn't have all the information, right? So Carl Sagan said...
Millions and... not that one.
Well, in addition to that, he said, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So
say it one more time.
Absence of evidence... In other words, you can't, you don't see the data point. You don't see the historical data.
You don't have any evidence that it happened or not.
It's not evidence that it didn't happen. It's not
absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That doesn't tell me anything about whether it happened or not. It tells me that I don't have any evidence.
That's right, which is exactly what the point you made a minute ago, where like I know I had the buy box. Well, at least you think you knew you had. I mean, you validated it somewhere. You had the buy box at $25.
I had the buy box if I were going to buy it.
Well, yeah, okay. But then
because I could see it.
When you look at Keepa, that buy box number never showed up, but you were selling it, right?
Yeah.
This is the
multidimensional buy box.
It is absence of evidence.
Yes.
Right?
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
That's right. It's not evidence of absence.
So now I have evidence because I tested that.
Oh my gosh.
If I'd never tested $25, I would not have any evidence of $25, but now I have evidence of $25.
You do, but not everybody does.
Right.
Right? This is why we like to do the test.
That's why you got to test it too.
Yeah.
To find out what.
So just because there's no Keepa history might mean that no one tried it, or it might mean that someone tried it and
it didn't show. Keepa didn't capture.
Just didn't capture it. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I do see is this call with when I'm on coaching calls with sellers who think they have all of the data won't pull the trigger on sending in a test. Okay. So I think that number one,
they think they need to know more before they.
Well, they think they have it all. And we know that you don't have it all.
Oh, and so it tells them it's not going to win.
Well, no, not that.
Okay, help me out. I'm sorry.
Sellers have all the data, but they still feel like they need to know more, right? They have everything. They're still afraid because of what might happen. Well, back to the Carl Sagan quote, right? The absence of something that could happen, right? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it won't happen.
So what do you do with that?
Well, there's only one way to find out what will happen, and that is to execute a unmanipulated test.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Test for that. And if you test for that, test for that.
Yeah.
It's a pass or fail. It's a yes, that's true, or no, it's not under those conditions, right?
Yeah. So you got to...
Data informs. Testing confirms.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about what this is like in the wild.
Okay. In the wild. In the wild, because data is a wild world. Let me tell you, having been a data analyst for about 10 years, it is not the data necessarily, but the implications of data or what people want data to be. That's a wild world. And sometimes your job depends on whether they get out of that data what they wanted to say, and you have to be able to report it that way. But we want to be real about this, right?
Yeah.
The charts show prices. They show all the prices that are available right now. We can see historical prices, but they don't tell us why. They don't tell us if that price sold or not. They tell us how many sales, but they don't tell us if the sales sold. It doesn't.
Or at what price.
Or at what price. I mean, they tell us the sales sold. They don't tell us what price.
Yeah.
Thank you for the correction. I get tied up in my head sometimes. They don't tell us what price it sold at.
Mm-hmm.
So the buy box can be at $18, $18, $18. Sales were 50 or more during that time.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean $18 was what they sold.
Was the only price.
Because mine sold at $25.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We don't know if any of them sold at $18. Yeah. We don't know. But it's certainly something we can test because we have that kind of evidence. But what we're trying to find out is what made that sale? What made it create a sale? And that's what testing will do for us if we do a proper test. In other words, did that sale come because we were slashing prices, whether we had good reason or not? Did that sale come because we were the only one who had inventory in the warehouse at the time? Or did that sale come because any number of reasons? Because something happened to the market at that moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, this reminds me of the situation I've been showing to almost every coaching client that I had, especially last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a perfect use case or a perfect explanation for how this can happen.
Okay.
And I was looking at this one ASIN that has, 11 offers on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pull up the see all offers, not in the Keepa section, but in the underneath the buy box.
Any offer you can buy right now.
Yeah. When you click on, 12 other offers on this listing or whatever, you bring that page, that little sidebar out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll show you who's in the buy box for you. Not for everybody.
Not for everybody. Buy box can be completely different for somebody in a different area.
And then from there, it is showing you the rest of the offers sorted by price from low to high by default.
Right.
Okay. And so what I saw was this one seller marked as new seller. In other words, they don't have any feedback.
Seller feedback yet.
Right. Probably relatively new, getting started. They don't understand all the systems and everything. And
they haven't tried all their systems out. And
they're not veterans yet.
Yeah, right.
Good enough. And this particular store was priced $8 lower than every of the top 5 offers that were prime. Okay. And she was FBA. I say she. The store name made me think of a female, but I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, you could be wrong.
And so as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the delivery dates. This is normally what is going to determine what's in the buy box for me, as long as the price is not really out of whack. Okay. Yep. So let's say the price was $69. Okay. And that was in the buy box for me. And they were available next day. Okay. The next offer down was this one that was offered at $62. That was also FBA, but it was 12 days in the future FBA. Okay, and then the person right below them was also $69.
Are you trying to tell me that the lowest price doesn't get the buy box?
That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Yes.
No.
Even right now, what would happen if that person was available for me next day is they would most likely get the buy box.
Because they have a lower price.
Lower price and delivery time.
Other things do, delivery time. Yeah. Other things do have something to do with that. If they are not a professional seller, they're not eligible for the buy box.
So then I had shown this to a coaching student while we were on a call.
Yeah.
But he followed up with me later and he's like, well, asking me what should my price be on this item. And he sends me the list of all the prices of everyone who's on. Thanks, SellerAmp, for showing all this stuff that's useless.
SellerAmp's not the only one who does that.
Anyway, and he's like, well, where in this range should I be pricing my product?
That's not the range I look at all.
I mean, either, but anyway. And that's what I'm trying to train, right?
Yeah. I don't depend on other people to tell me what my price should be.
That's exactly right. So, but my first question is this a test or a replenishable item? And he said, it's a test. And then I said, okay, at what point in the testing cycle are you? Because he's following the 4-week test protocol. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, it's already.
Oh, he's already testing. Okay.
Yeah, it's already live, and it's like.
So he should already know what his price.
That's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're getting there. I keep interrupting you. Keep going.
So that's what I said. Like, well, what how far in the testing process is it? And he's like, I'm in. It's been available for 9 days. Great. So you're in week 2. You already have a prescribed price. For
you decided that before you sent it in,
right? And he goes, well, but the buy box is getting lower and lower. Don't I need to adjust my price? This is a great topic that I know you want to dig into.
Manipulate. So he wants to manipulate the test because it's not doing what he wants it to do.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, it's not a test anymore.
Exactly.
You've just ruined your test. Mm-hmm. You're not learning anything.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it look better than it is by choosing before it gets there, whether it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so this reminds me of a story that I heard about people who were testing wind tunnels.
Okay.
Right? So had these models and they tested these planes with these wind tunnels to see what was going to happen. And so before they, put actual people in them and put them in the air.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. So they do this testing. So our friends that have worked at Boeing probably are like, you have no idea what you're talking about. But
I'm sure.
The story goes like this. This company decided it wasn't giving good enough information. Like it wasn't good. The results weren't good enough for what they wanted to report to the people who were buying their service.
Okay.
Right? So they started manipulating the test.
And how do they do that?
I don't know. They started manipulating the results. I don't know how you test this.
They changed up the conditions in the wind tunnel.
The conditions, right. They changed the conditions mid-test. So they could get a different result than what it looked like they were going to get.
Yeah.
So then it looked like this plane was going to be safe to fly. Mm-hmm. They put it in the air, and guess what happened?
It didn't fly.
It didn't fly. It crashed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that the plane wasn't a good plane. It was that the conditions that we needed the plane to have, we didn't know because we manipulated the test, right?
Yeah, we manipulated the test to get the result that we wanted as opposed to the result that will really happen or that might have really happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this point that I so strongly believe. Mm-hmm. If your test cannot fail, it's not a test. It's an audition for something that you want or don't want. Mm-hmm. Then if you're manipulating that, it's not a test. It doesn't tell you what you started out to learn. And if he had changed his price there, it doesn't tell him what he started out to learn. His test was 4 weeks. He was in week 2, changed the price to a different price than it was supposed to be in week 2. And he has no idea what's going to happen by week 4.
That's exactly right. And
if he stayed with the test.
And this is what I see all the time, right? I'm in week 1 and things don't look like they're going in my direction. So I want to change things up. I want to not lose on this, right? I want to.
It's not a loss.
I want to set myself up for success instead of potentially not converting this into a replen, right? Or I'm going to end the test early because I don't like the way it looks.
Yeah. So I'm just going to slash that price and get a sale. Because if I get a sale, then I must have won.
Or I'm going to rationalize some anomaly, right? Instead of respect, just let it happen so that you get the results. Yeah.
We need to really clinically do this.
That's what I keep saying. Clinical. Just be clinical about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough. Because it is
not
your
easy.
Money on the line.
This is not somebody else's business. I'm not working a job for somebody else. This is my money. This is my success or failure.
Yeah.
All of this is involved, and this is personal.
Yeah. You are contaminating the test if you're making, you define what the test is. This is what I would say. Like what we provide are guidelines. Ultimately, it's your business, your call. Nobody's going to come around and slap your hand because you manipulated a test.
Because you did a 3-week test instead of a 4-week test, or because that's your decision to make. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's call a test a test. In order to be a test, you have to have specific conditions that you're testing. What am I testing for?
Okay.
When I test an ASIN, I'm testing for what price I can sell that ASIN for. If it's a high enough, so then that's what I'm testing for. I'm not testing for whether I can get a sale. If I slash the price, what I'm doing is I'm testing for, I say I'm testing for what price I can sell at, but I'm actually create a test that only tells me whether I can sell or not. It doesn't tell me whether I can get profit or not. So I have to decide initially, what am I testing for? And then I have to decide what my test looks like based on my hypothesis and my system of testing. And then I'm going to have to look at the end before I start and say, I have one of two things that's going to happen. It's going to sell, in this case, it's going to sell at or above my replenishable price.
Yep.
Or it's not.
Yeah.
Those are the only two answers.
Those are the two outcomes we're looking for.
Those are the only two outcomes I'm testing for. Yep. Yes or no.
Yeah.
So when I get to the end, oh wait, before I start again, I have to tell myself, what am I going to do based on the results? If it passed, what am I going to do? I'm going to replenish in this scenario.
Yep.
If it didn't pass, if it didn't sell for at least a profit, I'm going to sell it off. Then I'm going to get it to sell. I'm going to slash that price at that point and get out of my test. And hopefully I'll at least break even, right? Hopefully I've done enough work to most of the time break even. But we say that all the time. That's no guarantee.
Yeah.
But most of the time we should if we give ourselves half a chance. It's either going to be a replenishable, and I'm going to replenish at a price that I can make money, or it's not, and I'm not going to replenish. I'm going to sell off, get my money back, and do another test.
Yeah.
If we can clinically set up this test and do it every single time we have a new ASIN, put it into our system. I always tell people the first thing I would have somebody else do, and it's probably going to be a teenager, do my repricing. Here's the plan. Make that happen. Here's what it is in week 2. This is what you change the price to. If it doesn't sell. If it does sell, let me know so I can replenish it. If it doesn't sell, change it to this price. On this day, at this time, clinical. At the end of 4 weeks, if it hasn't sold, go down how far you need to go to get it sold. Period. That's the test.
Well,
the reason I would have a teenager or someone else do
besides
it
you,
is because I'm going to be emotional about it. I'm going to be like, well, but there was a sale hit there. Well, the Bible, maybe that won't happen again. I'm going to do that because it's personal.
Yeah.
When I get somebody else to just run the prescribed test, I can take my hands off and know that as a general rule, this is happening as part of my systems.
When I think about people who have been successful in generating long-term wealth in various markets, like a Warren Buffett, not emotional about the dollars.
Not at all.
Completely clinical with a strategy.
He keeps his tests sterile, theoretically.
Obviously, big brain. He and Charlie Munger, right? They figured some things out over the years, and it was really like a very clinical approach. It wasn't, I hope this. I hope. Right? If this doesn't work, I'm going to be
in
crushed.
Trouble. And no. They take, and I'm theorizing. We don't have insight to Warren Buffett's business, but we do know business people. We do know people who have large businesses that they own, and we've worked in corporate America where they have this kind of situation as well. And I was talking to a coaching client just this week about it, who's finding some real success, and I'm really proud of him. But this is what we came up with. There are test resources that you use in a test when you have a business. You set aside resources for that test. A lot of times they call it R&D, research and development, right? But though that research and development, they don't get upset if it doesn't make money. They've set aside those resources for that test, right? For that testing. And then from that, they learn what will make them money and what won't. So they set aside those resources. So this person said, yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to start separating my testing resources from my operations resources, my replenishables, so that I don't taint my actual profit with my testing. And so that I don't taint my testing with my actual profit. So yeah, you can make money on a test. Absolutely. But that's not what the test is for.
Exactly. Well, not during the testing period.
Right.
It's to identify things that you can replenish so that you can make money.
The test is decide whether this ASIN should go into operations or not.
That's right. Yes. Can I sell this product? That's why I love that analogy, because it really does treat if you're a product development company and you don't have an R&D department, you're not a product development company. you're a gambling company,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you've got an R&D department, it's a cost center. It's not a profit center.
It's not a profit center. Right? It's a cost center. Absolutely.
Yeah. And most of the time you're going to lose there.
Yeah.
This is what
be okay with
most products don't gain popular success.
Because most of them don't. And you got to be okay with that. Or else it's going to keep you from testing, in which case you're not going to be able to sustain your replenishables.
Yeah.
And remember, a test that cannot fail because you manipulate it or you already know the answer and there's no reason to test, you cannot learn from.
Let's give people some idea about how do you set up a real test so that you're being sure not to manipulate it as you go through.
Okay, we started on this before, but predetermined inputs.
Okay.
What am I going to test? Okay, and let's put it in the box of what we're talking about, testing ASINs, right?
Okay.
I know what I'm going to test. I'm going to test the price of an ASIN, right? Whether I can sell it at that or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my test is for. I'm going to decide where I'm going to start my price, what movements I'm going to make within what period when my test is over, and what I'm going to do at the end, right? So that comes into predetermined decisions. You want to take that one?
So you got to know what you're going to do with the results, right? Mm-hmm. So if certain outcomes happen, you already know which direction you're going to go. Either you're going to put that ASIN back in the pool for maybe testing later, or you're going to replenish that ASIN. That's it. And those are the two potential outcomes. For this kind of test that you set up, you can test for different things.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're testing for a price, if you're testing whether it's a replenishable or not, you need it to sell at least at a profitable price, or it's not going to be worth it to you to replenish. And as you get going, you're going to raise that price that's going to be worth it.
Also testing for within a time frame.
And you're also testing within a time frame.
Because you could sell a unit, but it could take 12 weeks to sell. That is a different.
Right. Then you're adding in more variables. Now you have the storage. Now you have the cost of your money being out.
Right.
Now your test is not the same. So you've got to test during a time. You have to test the period of time in your test as well. So you know how much of that. If it's a 12-week test, then you got to figure in the storage.
Yeah.
The
which you couldn't do all that.
Cost. Absolutely. If that's what you're testing. Yeah. Okay. So, but you predetermine the decisions depending on whether that was a yes or a no. And it needs to be a yes or a no. It can't be, it could be 18 different things that I would do. No, it's a yes or a no. What am I going to do if it's yes? What am I going to do if it's no? That's a predetermined decision before you start your test.
Yep.
And we just talked about isolating the variables, making sure you know exactly what's involved in that test. But remember, we're not necessarily testing to see if it works. We know we can sell it.
Most likely, yes.
We have
a high degree of confidence we can sell it. Yeah.
What we are testing is what are the conditions in which it will sell.
There you go.
Why is it selling?
Yeah.
Right? And can I recreate those conditions? If I can't, then it doesn't do me any good if it can sell at that or not.
Yeah.
Or if it's not worth it to me once I find out what the conditions are that it will sell, meaning price in this case. So all things to put into it before you ever start. And if you make these decisions and you're doing these same tests over and over, you can just roll in as part of your process.
Again, treat it as its own department. It's your R&D department.
Yeah.
The thing that keeps coming to mind for me is I'm going to test my airplane to see if I can get it to fly 3,000 miles.
Yep.
Okay, in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I take off. I'm about a third of the way there, and I change my mind, and I go ahead and land about 1,000 miles in. Then I say, yep, I tested. It flies. Right, which is a different outcome.
But that wasn't what you were testing for.
Exactly.
You were testing to see if it would fly 3,000 feet without
3,000
stopping.
miles.
At 3,000 feet. Hopefully it'll go 3,000 feet. 3,000 miles without stopping.
Right.
But you changed your test mid-flight.
This is what I'm saying I see so much
That's a great
with
analogy.
Coaching clients is like, well, I changed it up, 10 days in and it didn't work. Or I changed it up 10 days in and it worked.
Yep.
Right? But
I sent it in and the price tanked. Was responding to a price tanking part of your test? Yes or no? If it was, then let's respond.
Yeah.
What did you decide to do if that happened?
Yeah.
If it wasn't, don't respond to that. That's not part of, that's like saying, oh, well, I'm testing to see whether this umbrella, gosh, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Your analogy was good.
Okay. Well, so when you are building your business, whether you're doing wholesale or retail or online arbitrage, it's all arbitrage of some sort, even private labels arbitrage of some sort, right? It's never ending, right? Like ask Procter & Gamble when they stopped developing products. And
when they stopped testing new things.
Yeah, and it's never happened in the history of that company. Right? It's never happened.
They're a product development company.
So same thing for you and your business. You're always going to be looking for new things to sell for one of two reasons, either to expand your catalog or to improve your catalog.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things you never stop. A lot of people think, well, once I get my foundation built, I don't have to test anymore. And what will happen is it'll start eroding. Your foundation will start going away over a little bit all the time because some of those ASINs are going to start to die off.
Right. They're going to pull them from the catalog. Mm-hmm. They're going to have some sort of impact, an IP claim or some reason you re-gated. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
How do you overcome these things? You keep putting in new tests. And you made a really good point too. I may not always want to grow. My business.
Yep.
I mean, that's a really good reason. If you're gonna grow, you're gonna have to keep putting in new ASINs. But what I may want to do is start a flywheel that starts throwing off cash that can run itself, in which case testing has to be part of it so that it can always be replacing the ones that fall off and improving the worst one you have.
Yes, I like that.
Even if you stay the same.
And that's what we've been doing for a number of years. Is we just sort of tread water.
We put it to a place where it could almost run itself, and we let it run.
And we just let it run. All right. Well, and the reason you always want to be testing, we scaled. Yeah. Different conversation.
Okay.
If you're not moving forward, you're falling backwards, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're not testing, you're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so make testing a routine, not the exception, and allocate your capital specifically or a portion of capital specifically for this experimentation / research and development. And then set up systems to capture what it is you learn. One of the sessions I love to do, and I did one last week, was this sort of profit profile, we call it, where we look at your performance of your business over a recent period of time, and we analyze the performance, and we figure out how can we make improvements. Mm-hmm. But we don't do that every week.
We didn't figure out how we can beat up the student because he didn't do it exactly right and made no mistakes.
No.
We do it so that we can figure out where to make improvements. Got it.
But we make those improvement adjustments once a quarter, not once a week.
Right.
Because if you're changing all the time, your results are going to be like a scatter chart, just all over the place.
Yes.
Right? What we're trying to do is make marginal, incremental improvements, not exponential improvements in this process.
Because we're looking for a business that's predictable.
Yes, predictable.
So, and we're looking for a business that's sustainable, and we're looking for a business that will scale.
Yep. All right. Well, this is one of the reasons we wrote Path.
It is. These are the principles, some of the principles that we cover in our book, Path.
And there's a whole framework around testing in there.
There's a whole framework around testing. So if you're curious about our philosophy on that and how we do it, we tell you.
Yeah.
No secret. We want you to know.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, do you have a quote for us today? We probably should wrap this up.
I do have a quote for us today. This is one of my favorite quotes, actually.
You promised it was going to be good.
It was going to be good. All right, are you ready? This quote comes to us from Yogi Berra. If it comes from Yogi Berra, you know it's
got to be a good one. Okay? in a different way than most.
He says, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is.
I love this guy.
So Keepa chart is the theory of what...
Sometimes I think quotes get attributed to him, even if he didn't really say it. But...
I know. I don't... Yeah.
Anyway.
The Keepa chart is the theory of what happened in the past, which may not resemble what's happening now or in the future, right? Mm-hmm. Testing is practicing... is the actual practice. So to see what actually happens when you try. There's theory and the practice.
There's evidence, and then there is I want to know what else. I want to know what happens under these conditions.
I like the the way you frame it up was there's evidence and then there's proof. We have evidence that this has happened in the past, but we don't have proof that that's going to happen again,
or that nothing else will happen.
And that's why we test,
right? And
that's why to get the proof. You can analyze forever, right? We talked about this for a long time. We've worked with a number of people who've been around the community for years that never sent in a single item, and they got all the processes down cold.
Oh yeah, right? They've done it in their heads a million times.
Yeah, but they had yet to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I think we're very fortunate to be able to work with people like that.
I do too. When somebody comes to me who has been around for a while and they decide they want to actually do it, man, I take pride in the fact that they chose me to work with, because they know what the choices are. They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
And so
you can analyze forever, but at some point you got to get in the game.
Yeah.
Right. You can look at the game plan all day.
Yeah.
You can be really confident in the game plan.
Oh, yeah. You can wring your hands a lot.
But true clarity doesn't come until you are playing in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So when you're staring at a Keepa chart and you're analyzing that same ASIN for the third time, like 3 days in a row, 30 minutes in, and you're still not sure if it's going to work, you know what solves that problem?
Test more ASINs.
Test more ASINs. Go practice.
More ASINs.
Go practice.
Let's go practice.
Yes.
Yeah, you got this, guys.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Hey, thanks for joining us for today's episode. Before I let you go, let's spend a couple minutes with my good friend, Mr. Jeff Schick of jeffschick.com. He and his team of legal and policy experts can help you with any e-commerce, Amazon, Walmart, eBay questions that you have, and help you handle any legal or policy challenges as well. He's always got a good tip for us. What do you got for us today, Jeff?
So we got an interesting one. We've had a couple sellers now that have been asked by Amazon to do bank account verifications just to make sure that their bank account matches the deposit method that's on file with Amazon. Now, what is interesting about it is that these sellers that we've been helping, the reason why we've been getting involved is because the sellers are working with, regular accredited banks that are, licensed banks. I think so far, all the banks we've had issues with, though, have been small community banks. And the bank accounts, when they print the bank statement, it only has the last 4 digits of the company checking account number.
Right.
So it doesn't have the full account number on there. Now, if you look at like a Chase Bank statement or a Wells Fargo statement, it will have the entire checking account number on that statement. So why that's important is that if Amazon's doing a bank account verification, we've seen an increasing trend that they are rejecting bank statements that don't contain the entire bank account number as shown on the Amazon account. So if your entire bank account number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and your bank statement has XXXXX 6, 7, 8, that's not going to cut it for Amazon. They're not going to accept that as being one and the same. And so I'm just encouraging people right now, look at your bank statements, make sure that your bank statement has the full account number. If it doesn't, there's no need to panic. Just find a new bank that does. Open a new bank account with a bank that does, and just update it, switch it with Amazon, and go through the verification. Because what you don't want to do is find out that your bank account statement only has the last 4 digits printed when Amazon's asking you for a copy of it and they're rejecting it. So,
yeah. Wow. What a strange conversation that would be, to go to the bank that you're at currently and say, I got to change banks. Sorry. Why? Because the paper statement only has the last 4 digits.
Right.
What kind of weirdo needs all the digits on the same? Well, Amazon sellers do. That's a great tip, man. That's the little things that we would just never know or catch ahead of time if we didn't have you guys in our community. I'm so appreciative of the little tips and strategies you're always dropping on us. Thanks, Jeff. That was a really good one.
Absolutely. Glad to help.
And for those who don't know, jeffschick.com, if you go to the website and use the coupon code mistake, the word mistake, as in, I don't want to make the mistake of not having Jeff's team on retainer. It's only going to cost you $1 for your first month. After that, it's just a few dollars a month to have his team on retainer for anything that comes up: Amazon, eBay, Walmart, e-commerce, policy, and legal. Put his team to work for you, as so many leaders in our community have done. All right, Jeff, let's do that again next week. What do you say?
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.